The controversy over Sheikh Sani Yahaya Jingir's recent remarks has taken a new turn following Pastor Paul Enenche's forceful response and what he said about Christians and the continued push for a Muslim-to-Muslim presidential ticket has generated strong reactions across the country. But there is another part of the story that has made people stop and look again. Who was sitting behind him when those words were being spoken? Among the political figures reported to have been present were Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf and Jigawa State Governor Umar Namadi. And as the controversial remarks were being made, cameras were rolling. The footage is now part of the conversation. Jingir was making his argument about political power, Muslim unity, and the continuation of the Muslim-to-Muslim presidential ticket. He insisted that Muslims should continue to support candidates of their faith, and argued that Muslims have the numerical strength to pursue their political interests. But then came the word that caused the biggest uproar. He referred to Christians as infidels. And this was not said in a private conversation. It was said publicly at a political gathering with prominent political figures in attendance. That is what made the controversy particularly sensitive, because Nigeria is not a country divided into two separate religious nations. Christians and Muslims live together in virtually every part of the country. They work together, they trade together, they attend the same schools, they belong to the same communities, and they are all citizens of the same country. So when a prominent religious figure uses language that appears to place one religious group against another, many people naturally begin asking, where does religious advocacy end and dangerous division begin? The reaction did not take long. Former Kano State Governor and 2027 Vice Presidential candidate Musa Kwankwaso condemned the remarks and said Kano people did not endorse such divisive rhetoric. Christian leaders also reacted, and then Pastor Paul Enenche stepped into the controversy. During a Sunday service at Dunamis International Gospel Center, Abuja, Enenche addressed the remarks directly. He rejected the suggestion that Christians should be treated as subordinate to another religion in Nigeria.
Came up to say that Christianity is subordinate to any other religion in this country.
He also questioned why security agencies had not invited the cleric over what he regarded as provocative religious statements. Then he went even further.
There is no part of Nigeria where Christians don't exist en masse. Every part of Nigeria, whether it's Sokoto or Maiduguri or Yobe, en masse. For a demon-possessed agent of darkness, God rebuke you, rebuke every devil that spoke through you, and rebuke everything you represent.
Those were the words of Pastor Paul Enenche. He was clearly angry about what he believed was an unacceptable way of speaking about fellow Nigerians. And one of the strongest points in his response was his question about the authorities. Why, he asked, should someone make statements capable of inflaming religious feelings and simply continue moving around without being called to account? That question has become part of the wider debate. Because Nigeria has seen time and again how careless religious and ethnic rhetoric can create fear, suspicion, and division. And this is why many people are asking that influential religious figures should be more careful with the words they use in public. But there is another side to this story. Sheikh Jingir has not apologized or withdrawn his position. In a BBC Hausa interview reported by Nigerian media, he said he had no regret over his advocacy for a Muslim-to-Muslim presidential ticket and maintained his position. So the controversy has not ended. Far from it. On one side is a cleric defending his right to advocate for political candidates who shared his faith. On the other side are critics who say political preference should never become a reason to describe fellow citizens in a way that can deepen religious division. And Pastor Enenche has now made his position unmistakably clear. But perhaps the most striking part of this whole story is that it comes at a time when Nigeria is already looking ahead to the 2027 elections. Religion and politics have always been sensitive issues in Nigeria. The 2023 presidential election already brought the Muslim-to-Muslim ticket debate to the center of national conversation. And now, as another election approaches, the same question is returning. Can religion remain a personal conviction without becoming a weapon in political competition? That is a bigger question behind this latest controversy. And there is something else Nigerians should remember. Sheikh Sani Yahaya does not speak for every Muslim in Nigeria, just as Pastor Paul Enenche does not speak for every Christian. Nigeria's Muslims are not one political bloc, and Nigeria's Christians are not one political bloc. There are different opinions within both communities, and that distinction is important if we want to report this story honestly. In fact, what happened in Kano has already generated condemnation from several quarters. Pastor Enenche has now responded forcefully. Jingir remains firm in his position. Political figures have reacted. Christian leaders have reacted. And the footage of that gathering continues to circulate. So, the question now is not simply who won the argument. The bigger question is whether Nigeria's political and religious leaders can disagree strongly without turning fellow citizens into enemies. Because Nigeria belongs to all of us. Christian, Muslim, traditionalist, and every other Nigerian citizen. Political power will change hands. Government will come and go. But the word spoken today can either help build a country where people of different faiths live together, or deepen the divisions that already exist. And that is why this controversy deserves more than outrage. It deserves careful attention. What do you think about Sheikh Jingir's remark and Pastor Enenche's response? This is Upper Voice Global News.